We have one scheduled concern, and that's Brooke. So the quicker we get her department report, because that's all she's
Want to
got,
move that right to the top then?
if you want.
Sure.
I'm actually okay.
You're okay?
3:30. So
Oh, right.
Shep should be
Okay.
pretty
Good.
good.
Okay, I guess we're ready to go. It is Wednesday, November 10th, 2021. And this is the regular meeting of the Waterville Valley Board of Selectmen. I am Vice Chair Rich Rita. Chair Margaret Turner sent a text saying that she'd be a few minutes late and to start. So with that said, we have a call to order. Mike?
Works for me.
Okay, Mike Aronson's here and I am here, so we have a quorum. Is there anybody here who would like to exercise the first privilege of the floor?
You're the public who's here for it, Bob. Do you have anything?
Mr. Freeze?
Joe's here for another reason, so.
Okay, well, I have two things. One is,
Identify yourself, please.
pardon me,
You have to identify yourself so people know.
citizen. The first thing is I'm town treasurer. I have been for 2 years and I'd like to resign effective the end of the calendar year. So I'd give you a chance to find somebody else. First of all, I've done it for a couple of years. I think somebody else should do it now. And secondly, I'm really a little uncomfortable signing things. I'm really just a check signer. And, you know, I don't really have any input or knowledge about what I'm signing. I don't know whether it fits in the budget, doesn't fit in the budget. It's appropriate, it's not appropriate. When there's a bond issue, I have to sign off on the bond issue, yet I have no involvement. On the other hand, I don't want to spend more time being involved, so I resign effective the end of December.
Okay.
Well,
Now you,
would you be able, just if there are any questions during the audit, because, you know, your signature is on anything,
Sure.
if the auditors have any questions in January and February, would you be willing to
Sure.
help us with those things?
Yes.
Okay.
you will be here in January and February, not on some offshore Caribbean
I
island.
hope I think I'll be here.
As the treasurer, you
Yeah,
have to
well-
ask. No.
My second thing is on the issue of vending trucks in town. My personal opinion is that the businesses in town that pay taxes, pay rent, have employees here that support the town events, should take precedence over outside vendors that come in. I know I'm not necessarily, most people might not agree with me, or maybe they do, I don't know. There was a controversy on Facebook over this past weekend about the pizza place finding a place to be in the valley. And I weighed in and said that I thought locals should support local businesses, particularly during the time of COVID when they've all been struggling. And most of the responses were in support of how much they like the pizza from the guy out in Campton. So that's neither here nor there, but I still think that the town should have a permit process, which I don't think they do.
We have an off-site solicitation permit
You do.
that they have to get.
So
and-
do they have
and
to,
they-
excuse me,
Dave, correct me if I'm wrong, but they have to have a letter certifying from the property owner where they're gonna park, that they can use their property, and then they have to fill out the
They
permit.
need a business license
Yeah.
from the state, and then we verify they have a business license.
do they get inspected?
And then they have, From the state they do, not from
I
us.
mean, in the town, you know, when I owned Blue Moon Restaurant,
Mhm.
you know, the town came in and said we had to put a new hood system in. Paid $12,000 for a new hood system, and then I was out of business. I closed the business a month later. Town would inspect for, you know, health and safety issues. And I've got the ordinance, if anybody wants them. I got the ordinances from Plymouth and Laconia. And then I got some comments that I put down. And I'm not necessarily against them, but I think they ought to be held to at least the same standards that the businesses in town are held to. And, you know, for instance, what zoning district can they be in? You know, is that specified? Or can somebody have one in any zoning district?
They, as long as they have the property owner's permission,
Well,
they're
see, I don't think
not,
that's right. Could they be in a residential zone?
right now, our permitting process would allow that, yes.
You know.
Wait a minute, you can't operate a business in a residential zone. It would not allow. I can't put a food truck in my front yard.
You could.
No,
Good, unless
because
it's not-
I can't operate a business without a permit and without parking or anything else. If you read the zoning on home businesses, or as it used to be, it has a lot of restrictions, and one of them is, the biggest one is parking and everything else. So I think the key to these people coming in and doing this is with parking and
Well, I'm not saying that we would issue the license, but there's no prohibition in the license itself
Yeah.
for a specific zone or.
but there's a
anything like
prohibition
that,
of
right?
me operating a business on my
In
property.
the zoning ordinance.
Yeah.
There's a prohibition, yes, but it's
Yeah.
not reflected in the,
We need to update, we
in
need
the
to.
Yeah,
permit.
but
permit.
once again, we're gonna get overcomplicated. I mean,
I think the outside vendors should be addressed
Limited.
in the zoning ordinance.
Yeah.
And they're
Yeah.
not. And is there a fee?
There's a minimal fee. for
right, we
the
just, we
permit.
started discussing this last year, because this came up last year, Bob.
Yeah.
And what I believe to be true is the reason that the outside vendors were allowed where they were last year was because the owner of the property where the vendors were had a license to operate and sell food and drink throughout their whole property.
Yeah.
And
But they weren't selling it, it was somebody else. that
it
came.
doesn't matter if he is selling, he's selling it or someone
Well,
else is selling.
I totally disagree.
No, I'm just telling you how it reads.
Yeah, I don't think it reads the way you're saying it reads.
Well,
You know, his business, when you guys went and looked at his business, it didn't involve outside food trucks that came in that hadn't been inspected by the town. For
well, I
instance.
believe didn't you guys inspect the trucks? We talked about this with Chris, going in and
and
looking
we
at them.
changed the permitting a little bit. I
Right,
think, too.
well, that's not gonna happen anymore. No trucks are coming in without being inspected. We don't.
Anyway.
As long as, yes, but the inspection is that they have a state certification that they are licensed by the state. to
Didn't
be
we
the
go
food-
and extend that to where if someone's coming in and wants to operate for more than a day, they have to be inspected by the town?
We limited the timing,
Right.
yes.
I think we did, but I'm not familiar.
We,
I wasn't.
Bob,
that
we've
involved
dealt,
in the process
we've
last year.
addressed some of this. We haven't finished addressing it.
Yeah, so
And
my purpose here was just to give some
Yeah,
ideas of
right.
things
Yeah.
that could be discussed.
Yeah.
And I gave you a copy of the Plymouth one, and I left the Laconia one, which I just gave to Mark, is really onerous. It talks about the propane tanks, and it talks about fire suppression systems, it talks about when they leave the interior of the truck, there can't be anything blocking the
Right.
doorway coming out. It has like 2 pages
Right.
of electrical, talks
Yeah.
about the boxes, the fuse boxes.
Well, I think that deals with Bike Week more than hopefully we will never
Well,
get to the point.
Sure,
of
it probably
having to
does, but
deal with this
the
extensive.
Plymouth one is fairly simple, but
Mhm.
I just didn't know if we had anything, and I think we
Yeah.
should.
Oh, no, we do. We spent quite a bit of time with Chris, worked on it last year.
We
Because-
tightened it up, but not in every respect. We'll have to look at the zoning ordinance. That may be just a hole in the permitting, but not in the zoning.
I mean, I tried to Google the Waterville Valley food truck.
But didn't we come up where there was a
Nothing came up.
permit fee that covered a certain time and you were only allowed a certain time under that permit?
That's right.
And if you went
That's
a
right.
longer time, you were considered a business, not a temporary.
That's right. You had to apply
So this-
for a,
I can't hold in
Site-
everything we do.
site
Bob.
plan.
Site plan.
plan review if you were
Yes.
more than one, I think it was over 2 days or something like that.
It was good. The temporary permit, I think our goal was, and I could be completely wrong, was to allow someone a temporary weekend permit only. You could only be here for
That's
one
right.
weekend.
That's
If you're gonna be here for more than a weekend, you had a whole new set of.
You-
Well, you
hoops
have
to
the,
jump through.
yes, we use the site plan review application process if you're gonna be here more than a weekend, which is very involved, and you have to go through all of
Right, and that's what the
whatever any
zoning
other
ordinance
business
would.
would have to
yeah.
do. But the inspections that we did were instead of just issuing, like we used to, the offsite solicitation permit, we actually looked at the truck, made sure that they had the required state certifications, and then they were allowed to stay for that weekend. That's what
Mhm.
that's how we handled it last winter.
In both of those towns, they have, insurance certificate, naming the town as additionally insured. There's a bunch of
There's a
issues
bunch of
involved.
Well, the
and I-
question is if you're on public land or non-public land, and we weren't gonna grant any permits for public land.
Right.
We're allowing private people, these places to be
To
on
work
private
it out.
property.
That's correct,
There's no public land where anyone's gonna have a food truck.
right.
Just raising issues.
Oh, no, I get it, but we don't need to be insured if they're not on our land.
Oh,
Is the point
well,
I'm making.
at these other two towns, you do have to.
Well,
Yeah, but I
we'll
think
see.
they're on the roads in those
No,
towns.
it's even in private land.
Oh, okay.
But we can readdress this, as Mike said, we had tinkered with it and tightened it up somewhat, and, but obviously, we should probably look at it again and tighten up some more.
Mhm.
We can schedule that, for
Mhm.
both, for a later meeting and
For
have
the
all the,
December meeting.
and have all the appropriate materials in front of us ahead of time too, so that we can research it a little better
Yeah, thank
and
you.
give you a more solid understanding, I guess, of where things stand.
But thanks for bringing it up, and thanks for being our treasurer for the last couple of years. We
Yeah,
appreciate
we
it.
appreciate that very much.
Thank you. Is there anything else?
Nope.
Okay, why don't we go ahead and move to Brooke? I see it's coming up on 3:20, and you said you had to leave.
Yeah.
So why don't we go with the rec department report?
Sure. So we have some activities coming up for Thanksgiving. We are doing Cellar Hole Hike. We're doing one tomorrow also, which a couple people are signed up for already, but we'll do that Thanksgiving weekend. We'll also do a fire cider workshop and also Bigfoot walk. We're starting these Bigfoot adventure walks for ages 5 to 12 and their parents. So
Will someone be
Excited about
dressing
that.
up as
it will be Bigfoot himself. of
Bigfoot
course,
himself is
right?
coming?
On a
How much
search
did that
for
cost?
Bigfoot.
It costs us
I
a
hope
lot
he's
to
wearing
book him.
To book him. Yeah.
Have we repurposed the Curious George monkey suit or something?
Can't say that. It's a public meeting.
So it will be, I think, a big success. We're gonna do it on the Friday after Thanksgiving and then every Saturday throughout the winter. So it'll be something that the lodges and guest services can rely on as an activity for the whole family. So we'll see how that shakes out. And just, we have our regular stuff going on, that we're planning for Christmas. We'll have, our schedule for Thanksgiving is kind of neat because it kind of looks like it used to. We have a lot of activities going on, open basketball, bear factory, pickleball, 3 days straight, basically of all these activities. So it's
And
exciting.
what parts of the building are you gonna be able to use over those?
Primarily the gym, but we are for this fireside or workshop going to be able to use the cafeteria and kitchen.
Good,
Because they're not in there. So,
Yeah. awesome.
yeah. But really, we're just limited to the gym. We can't use the multipurpose room.
Right.
It's full on classroom.
Classroom.
Yeah. So, but that's really all I have.
Okay.
Other than that, we're just kind of focusing on next year, what that might look like.
Anything, Mike?
Nope.
Nope, we're good. All right, thank you, Brooke.
Yeah.
So let's go ahead and move back to the agenda and move on to, I believe, financial reports is the next thing up.
Yep. So I have provided you with revenues and expenditures as of yesterday. I highlighted a few lines out there where we're either on the revenue side under collected or tracking right on budget. We do have a couple of lines, including the Recreation Department and the Parks Department, that are slightly ahead of budget right now. Also the transfer station fees. So having our part-time attendant up there, we definitely have increased our collections. Right now, we're at $29,500 for the year, and we had budgeted 27,900.
Right.
So
Do you think that will get to a revenue neutral point?
I don't. The number of 29,000 is actually more than it cost us for that position. So we're actually revenue neutral, a little ahead
Okay.
right now. The other is permits, fees, and interests, and that's a reflection of our building permits primarily. We're well ahead on those, and we're looking at a couple of additional big projects which may get in under the wire for December 31st. So be well ahead in that department. The numbers tracking under budget right now are the investment account. Interest rates are still pretty bad. State revenues, we are awaiting that $12,900. There is our meals and rooms taxes, reimbursement from the state. And when we get that, we should be at 100%, but we are tracking slightly under budget right now. Miscellaneous revenue. I need to check with Judy, but I believe we have billed for the payment in lieu of taxes at the arena, but I have to make sure on that. And I think we're also waiting for Spectrum payments on the online monies that they give us. On the expense side, only a couple of lines. The insurance is a timing issue, and we are overspent on that. That was due to an adjustment for workers' comp and unemployment based on payroll changes. And solid waste collection is for the truck and personnel.
Has a truck?
I'm
needed-
sorry, disposal. It's disposal, and that's tipping fee.
Has a truck needed more maintenance?
No, the
Okay.
truck's tracking. It's the disposal. It's the tipping fees.
Has that gone up?
It didn't go up, but we
Just more,
have
okay.
seen more
Okay.
that we've taken up. Those are the only things. Very good.
Anything else, Mike?
Nope.
Okay, so let's move on to the next agenda item, the minutes review and approval.
You want to wait till Margaret?
Yeah, let's wait for Margaret. Okay, so we'll move forward to,
Do the other department heads once she gets settled.
all righty, we'll move into the other department heads. And while they're giving their report, Margaret will assume the chair of this meeting. So who would like, we got
Public safety.
public safety, you're up.
Yeah, we shared with you just the activity, just seeing typical increases in the activity on the weekends. During the week, looks like GRC jittering a few calls for noise and that sort of thing. But very busy on the building and inspection side, so just trying to keep up with doing several daily inspections on a number of properties around, and some of the businesses do. A lot of them are looking for things as their season is about to ramp up, so just trying to keep up with those.
Have you seen greater compliance with permitting? I think you had mentioned,
So far, since we last spoke,
you said you were out and about and you were noticing
Yeah. Since we last spoke, yeah.
the word has gotten.
And I think discussions with some of the contractors of those doing the work has helped too. So far so good. I haven't found anything else that hasn't been. We addressed some issues. I shut down some fireplaces over at Sunnyside condos due to conditions of the dryer vents being vented into the chimney flues. And have been over the last
That's an interesting
30
combination.
plus years.
Yeah, I think you find more of those when you go around town.
Yep.
So
Yeah, and so there is some other building construction, so I did have a conversation with property managers to check into that. So working with the associations and the property managers to come up with solutions, but any of those that were found to have that condition, I condemn those. And until they can mitigate that, they can't use the fireplaces. It was a pretty good catch. I'm very surprised that we hadn't had a building fire because of it. It was pretty shocking to see, 30 years of dryer lint vent on top of fireplaces. How that hasn't caught fire by now, I have no idea. But it was a good catch, and if we can get it mitigated now, it might actually save a few buildings here in town, so.
I'm sorry, David, where was that?
Sunnyside.
Oh,
So, working with the association, they're very receptive, and the property manager's been very receptive, coming up with a plan to get those mitigated. And as soon as he knows, as soon as those get cleaned, they're in the process of replacing several fireplaces. And found, once the company was there to remove the old ones, that's the condition that they found, so. Nice of them to report it, so that way we can catch all the other ones that have that same condition. But like Mike said, there is a couple of the buildings that share very similar building construction. And we're gonna try to check on those, to make sure that if they do have the condition mitigated, if they don't, then it's just one thing that makes me sleep better at night. So, all of us are in the process of our CDL test. We'll be all testing this weekend. We have a training tonight. One of our new part-time in the process of being hired officer was a former state trooper whose job was to administer CDL testing. So he's going to be actually giving us our training tonight. And so hopefully that's going to help for the 10 of us that will be testing come Saturday and Sunday. So, and the positive thing, we didn't know this until we spoke to him, that because he's a qualified person, from now this point forward, we would be exempt from having to send anyone to CDL trucker school to get their CDL if he was the person that signs off on them to that they were ready. So that's a big bonus for town employees to be able to have someone on staff that can do that position, do that job. So
great.
Other than that, Pat?
I think it's good. No, everything is good. Working with the hotels and different businesses about concerns of hockey that we've talked about for the last couple of weeks. Last couple of weekends have been fantastic. Some businesses appears have really figured it out, and we've tried to get what they're using. And I hate to say it only for hockey, for anybody. what they're using for weekend guests and trying to get that to the other businesses that are comparable and seems to be working somewhat, so. Other than that, the signs are all up now on the streets, the speed limit signs are up too. You guys have seen the numbers, just the noise complaints still are here.
Yeah, and I put in your packet, I have the detail reports. If you want to look at them, they were just, it was 18 pages. I didn't want to put it in the packet,
Yeah.
so if you want to look through that.
But the
report,
summary
you can.
list was the one.
The
that you
summary
sent us.
list was the motor vehicle stops, so there were 79. motor
No,
vehicles.
but
this
you
is-
also had this.
That's the fire side, but I have the
Oh.
same thing for the police, the detail report on the police side.
The thing that I'd like to see on the police reports, so we have a basis, is just what the disturbance calls are going.
Where they're going?
Where they're coming in and what they're coming in, how often we're getting them.
I get like the last couple are
So if we know we have a problem or not, we can identify where the problems are.
hotels.
Yeah,
1 o'clock in the morning, 3 o'clock in the morning,
but is it one person or is it 9 people in the house?
large groups.
That's what I think we keep kind of need to
All right,
know.
we'll come up with.
Is
some
what we did in
sort
the past before you were here, Pat, was we would have a meeting every few years with the hockey academy.
Yeah.
Once we could demonstrate to them that it was out of control. And we'd sit with the hockey academy and the lodge operators. And there is a code of conduct that we wrote up that's somewhere, but we would reinstill it and, go, listen, guys, we have to get back to the basics of this and stay with it.
Well, see, that's where I really don't like just always putting it on hockey because the last.
No, that's
No,
why
I know.
I want to see what we've got to see if we
3
have to.
o'clock and 1 o'clock last night was a completely different function that had nothing to do with hockey. So it's not even just the weekend, it's
Yeah.
Thursday nights. it's
That's
Tuesday
what we
nights.
need to know. So when the owners come up to us, they go, it's hockey, we can go, no, it wasn't hockey.
Yeah, exactly.
The most damage ever done in Waterville Valley, and I don't know if you were here, was done by a big management consultant firm from Boston at the Snowy Owl where they were throwing furniture in the fire.
Yeah.
And then the other thing we're doing, I went to the school today, me and Dave are gonna work on doing. Now that I'm gonna say it, we're hopefully on the downward side of COVID, we're gonna get back into the school, start doing the Citizens Academy again, Coffee with a Cop. More of our community stuff that we kind of put on hold during the pandemic and everything was a little bit tighter and try to get back doing that. And, especially with all the new residents and just getting back to our community stuff.
Okay. Do you have any summaries? I looked at the speed reports. Have you already gone over those?
No.
Any summary from, or any recommendations out of what you found from looking
the
at the
speed
speed,
boards?
yeah, speed boards?
I'm still shocked how many cars are coming in. So the 32,000
Yeah.
is, so
1,000 a
what we're
day?
gonna do is
1,000 a day.
we're actually gonna set the board up down by the arbor to do both ways, because you'll see that was off. It was so that's on solar. We had a week of no sun, and then the cords were just not
Right.
completely put in right, we think.
Mhm.
So we lost a lot of data. The 12,000 might be 18,000, it might be half, I don't know.
Are we talking about the one at the entrance to the valley?
That one is 32,000.
That's the
32,000.
We got
32,000 a day.
32,000 in?
Yeah, that's just cars
32,000
coming
cars
in.
coming.
Oh,
yes,
what's
during the
doing
month of
both?
Yeah,
October.
no, I'm wondering this. I can go around through these signs 20 times in a day.
Absolutely.
On a normal day.
Right,
Mhm.
but still, it's the way we're looking at it is that's if you say 1,000 cars in a month, in a day, it's still cars. It's
Right,
still-
oh, yeah.
Mhm.
So there's not the times where there's no cars here anymore, really.
Mhm.
So what we're also realizing is there's a lot more traffic on Tecumseh and Packards when they're leaving. Because if there's only 12,000 at the other sign and 33 here, how much traffic is using these first two lefts when they're coming into town or when they're leaving?
That's what I found interesting, is you're not getting the similar counts from both sides. So it tells me they're using all the ancillary roads.
Yeah.
Coming around and coming.
Even
in.
if
Or they're leaving, coming.
Yeah.
But a lot of your
Yeah,
transient
up the-
housing comes in off of Packards and Tecumseh.
Yeah, because they're going to the hotels and stuff.
Yeah.
So when they leave, they're not going by that sign, they're just
Right.
coming right out.
Right.
Yeah.
So we're gonna do that every month, though.
Yeah.
So we'll have stats every month. And we'll just set them aside in a folder and we'll just keep track.
We had a transportation advisory committee meeting for the North Country Council this morning, and there were DOT folks there. So I asked them to send us links to traffic counts in Campton and Thornton along Route 49, so that we can do some comparative data with those numbers. And just, I mean, we know that it's 30,000 coming by that speed board, but how many of those are just people going to and from their house?
And the other thing,
Maybe
going
a
to the
couple of
dump,
times.
going
Going
to
to
the
the
mountain
dump
is a lot
or-
because Route
Yeah, I'm
3
wondering,
back
that's
there.
my, was it
Well,
guys
we're
making
not
a-
getting that.
we can't
No, I
say,
don't think
oh,
it
it's
gets
not.
that. I
It's
don't
not
know.
getting
So-
people
No,
straight
but
back.
it's people who have come from the mountain,
Oh,
coming
yes.
back in, come through the sign.
Exactly.
Where if the sign was out, with the 50-mile-an-hour sign there,
No, but he's saying we're not getting
The
this
people
triple
making a
I.
left turn.
We're
onto
not
Triple I.
getting the
No.
triple I left turn.
no, but what I'm saying is we're getting the people that are coming, like me taking my trash and going back and forth, that's
No.
too,
No, it's not,
No,
it's
it's
not.
not.
It's
We're not
catching-
getting you
We're
at all.
not getting you at all.
why?
Are you talking about the Arbor one or the Triple I one?
I'm talking about the one right
Right
under
here.
the sign here.
No, we're not getting you.
No, we're not getting anyone who turns left.
Anybody who's
Or
no,
coming
no.
straight on. and
But what
coming
I'm
into
saying, for
town.
me to get home, I'm going straight through.
No, but when you make the left-hand
Right.
turn to come into town, you are not registering on.
I'm
the
not going
board.
through that again?
No,
Okay,
no,
no, we're getting 1,000 cars a day.
yeah, it's 1,000 cars a day coming into town.
Yeah, because it's not
Heading
getting both.
straight.
I mean,
We're
if
just
you're-
trying to
If you're
figure
coming
out-
out and taking a left, it doesn't get you at all.
Right.
Okay,
So we're trying to figure out, are they coming from Campton or Thornton, or how many of them are coming
well, on
just from Campton?
a good school day, I would have been through that 3 times anyways.
Well, yeah, there are those families that
And we
do
think of the
that.
dump trucks too, that are,
And
some
we're
of them are
getting
coming in
dump
3 times
trucks,
a day to bring loads in.
but
so-
still, it's 1,000
Yeah.
cars
Yeah,
a
it's a
day
lot.
on.
I
Valley
thought we
Road.
may have been capturing the people making that left and going like to Livermore to Heights.
Yeah, see, that's what I was saying, that,
No, we are catching those people, yes.
We're not catching the people who are making a left-hand turn from Triple I onto Valley Road.
Yeah, when they
Right.
leave it, yeah.
When they
Right,
we're
oh,
catching
okay, I'm
that-
misunderstanding that.
We are
Yeah.
coming, every single car coming in, whether they take a left to go out
okay,
this
Yeah.
way.
Oh, okay, so this could be people just not even
Correct.
coming into town, quote unquote.
Right,
They're
they could-
going to Livermore parking to.
That's
like-
right. And we will catch the day skier traffic as well.
Yeah.
Right,
When they make the left and go up to the
yeah,
ski.
so that will really punch the numbers up.
Yeah, you could just say October is one of our slowest months.
Yeah,
Right.
and we've got 1,000
Yeah.
cars.
but except we have a busy October because of leaf peeping. We were packed Columbus Day weekend, the amount of
Yeah.
people, it was absolutely absurd here.
Yeah.
So,
But you can break it down by days too,
Yeah.
right? So. you
and
can-
there's no
you could-
camera to capture license plates or any of that stuff on it,
I
right?
don't know, I don't know. When you get a letter in the mail, you'll find out.
They really don't have those helicopters either. up there.
Drones, Mike,
Drones.
drones, stealthy drones.
Okay.
Margaret, could we move to Joe, because he's got to leave for a meeting in Concord at 5, so. could we
Sure, because we
have
don't have
some-
any other department heads here.
No, and I have some.
But we
other
do have
stuff from water.
parking that these guys
Yeah.
want to talk to us about too. Okay, so Joe, why don't we go with Joe now? And
Did you want to, I see, Mark, you have on here the well tree project and the wastewater plant. Do you want to talk about both?
Yes.
Okay.
So on the well 3 project, that's pretty short. The good news, we have the $204,000 that will be coming to us.
All right, let's define that $204,000.
where did that come
Yeah,
from? Did we
exactly.
apply for it or did they just give it
We
to
have
us?
an ongoing application
Okay.
with them for assistance. We were initially turned down
Right.
for any assistance with the this is the $1.2 million for the water line
For the
Right.
water
out
line,
by the
okay.
Mad River.
Mhm.
So,
We did an application and we were denied.
We were denied, you were granted loan money,
That's right.
But denied it-
Not the grant,
money.
not the grant, right?
Yes,
but concurrently with the application, we also encouraged Mark to apply for the ARPA funds.
Okay, which were the
Which we-
COVID related funds, right?
Which
Yeah.
we did, not knowing how that was gonna play out, so.
and so we have received $200,000 of ARPA money.
okay, do we have to pay it back?
No.
Grant.
Okay,
Grant.
It's a
so we only need $1 million now for the project. We have
Instead of-
200, we can save.
That's correct.
Okay, now let me just back up thing while I have Joe and you're thinking clearly before you get confused, as I will in a few minutes. They talked about $1 trillion or something, a bazillion trillion dollars coming to New Hampshire out of the Biden bill. Now, are we in position to fund the wastewater treatment plant and all our other things, as we've done with this one, to be considered for any of this money, and are there chances we'll get any?
Multi-part question,
Yes.
the answer is yes, we've applied for everything
Okay.
we can. We've maintained, we've gone through processes, Mark and I have, to make sure contracts are approved by DES before they're signed and all that, so that we're maintaining eligibility. So for the wastewater project, we put an application in a year ago,
Right.
and that has been approved for a loan and some grant funds.
How much?
So we've gotten $500,000 in grant money towards the 25 million, okay? We were told today during a meeting with DES that ARPA money and infrastructure money coming into the state could potentially increase that amount. They could not tell us how much or when it's going to happen, but they have told us that there is a
Right.
possibility we could get more than the $500,000.
So we've lined up, we've got our hand out in line with everybody
That's
else.
correct.
So we're not gonna
And-
miss.
And we are the number 8 project in the state on the wastewater side. So we are high up on the priority.
But what does that
list
mean?
for
They'll
the
give us
state.
$500,000 out of 25 million, or will they give us 5 million or 10 million?
They may give us,
They may give more. It's the ARPA money, not to confuse the two pots.
Could you tell me what ARPA stands for?
It's American Recovery Plan Act. And
Okay.
it came out of the COVID relief.
Yep.
That was in the prior administration. It's unspent money. Under that, whatever those multi-trillion-dollar
Yeah.
appropriations were. So that's from the prior administration. The current infrastructure bill that we all heard has been signed for $1 trillion. I've heard, I don't know the numbers exactly, I heard New Hampshire has received something on the order of about $1 billion.
It's 2 according to the news.
2
reports.
according to.
Okay,
Yeah.
I heard.
There's
last
2
week-
billion out of 1.2, which is roughly 1.2% for New Hampshire.
Okay, so that's an updated number from what I heard last week.
It's in the
So-
news. I don't
Yeah,
take
yeah,
it
no,
for
that's
what it's worth.
good. That's even better.
Yeah,
But that is not just for water and wastewater, that's for bridges.
Everything.
roads,
Right, but if we can get it, can we use it any way we like, or will it be?
It'll be
Specify.
for a specific purpose.
Right.
Right, so for the wastewater projects in particular, all of the funding applications we've put in to date, and we haven't put in EDA yet, but we will. That is lining the town up for eligibility for any money that
Okay,
comes
that's
in.
what I wanted to know before we got, so the public knows we're working on it.
We are,
we are positioned to receive any monies
Yeah.
that may fall our way.
yes.
And
it's
the infrastructure definitely covers our road project, right?
Yes.
Yeah,
We have,
And
have we heard back from Shaheen
Representative
yet?
Custer had a
Oh, Custer.
representative at the meeting,
Okay.
the TAC meeting today at the North Country Council.
Okay,
They asked that we just be patient because they don't know exactly how much or when the money is coming.
okay,
So they are trying to parcel that out now.
right, okay.
And that was reiterated by DOT that there's a bigger pot of money than they were expecting.
all right,
But our hand is out for our road
No, no,
projects
just wanted-
as well.
just want to make
Yeah.
sure we're,
Yeah,
okay.
absolutely.
Yeah, you're well positioned to receive whatever extra might come.
And the money we refinanced, that was for the water project, correct?
That was for the USDA water
past.
project from 2011.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Okay. All right,
We just
Better interest
refinanced it through the bond bank, and we're gonna save about 150, 270,000.
We didn't do the minutes review yet.
Great.
Waiting for you.
Okay, so, and the other part about the water side, Mark, that getting that ARPA grant is we had bid the pipe work for the transmission main project over the summer. No bidders.
right.
Everybody said they were interested, but too busy.
Mhm.
So we've put the pipe package back together with all of the other work around the well buildings, and that is now out to bid.
How long has it been out?
Yesterday.
Days.
Okay,
I think we-
The deadline, the timeline for that right now is that bids are due by January 2nd. And
is that a long bid period?
Yeah. it's a
It is
long-
intentionally because we reached out to so many contractors are so busy right now. trying to get them to stop the work they're trying to finish by the end of the year and put a
And do
bid
it, yeah.
together is
So
challenging. So
bid opening is on the 5th. We're gonna spend a couple of days evaluating the bids, get recommendations to you, and have you make a decision at the January 12th Selectmen's meeting. And then once we get that contract awarded, we'll have a start date in the spring.
Right. Yeah. And that's a one season project. So. Okay, and on the wastewater treatment plant upgrade project, we did get authorization, thinking about the eligibility. Mike, we've gone through a process with DES to review scope and fee and contract. There's a contract form that the state has us use for any funded projects, so
And that's what I put in your packets.
that was authorized, what's today? Wednesday, that was authorized Tuesday?
Yeah.
By DES, and that's why I forwarded that to Mark. So that is ready to be approved. We actually held a kickoff meeting here on Friday with the wastewater staff. Jim attended, Mark attended, and you attended. Your name? Steve, thank you. I'm getting used to that, Steve. New team member, as well as our design team. So we had a kickoff meeting just talking about the whole project, how we're going to go through the process. The study has to be put together in a format that is prescribed by the state rules and regulations for wastewater treatment works. So a big part of that is looking at the existing facility, which we won't spend a lot of time on because that's just obsolete. In the project, we had a surveyor out here Sunday with a drone to fly the wastewater lagoons and the treatment plant and get us some base mapping. And I was out here with another contractor today to get measurements in the lagoons. Had a lot of great comments. I couldn't believe how many people were going to the transfer station in one day, making comments that myself and a vendor were out there, a contractor were out there taking measurements of the sludge blanket and the depth and everything in the lagoon.
So I'm getting at is both.
That's all.
They usually prompts some.
That's all stuff we have to do to understand the makeup of the sludge and the disposal options and the cost of that. So that'll be in the report that we do as well. So project's underway.
Cool.
So.
And the contract, what we're asking is that you approve the contract and authorize me to sign it. It gets, Joe signs it, I sign it, and then we send it to DES. They have to also sign it. And then we'll continue with this study phase probably through middle of next year.
Yeah, I think by probably, third quarter of next year, we'll have figured out exactly what we're going to be putting together for a new treatment plant process. And then we'll, and I've been communicating with DES on this. At that point, we'll start a design contract because we want to get started. Once we know what we're going to be doing, we want to get started on the design piece. So it would be town meeting 2023 is when you would go for the remaining bond authorization for construction.
So we're still on track for that timeline.
Yeah.
And
Joe,
these-
I'm
go ahead.
sorry,
Sorry.
Joe, the engineering scope that's listed in our packet, that's the standard thing that DES says you have to
Yeah,
follow.
particularly,
Yeah,
I think
I
it's
think it's-
particularly section, well, everything in there is prescribed.
Okay,
But I think in particular, section 5 is the real.
is the meat of it,
Task 5
yes.
is really what they always want to see in every study.
Okay.
And you've got a really great operations team here for wastewater. Dylan is very determined, very enthusiastic and always looking for new things. And Rich is also somebody with so much experience that the meeting we had Friday was great. I mean, I think they're going to be a really good combination and team, and we'll come up with a really, really great project for the town because they're interested in looking at a lot of different technologies. We're working with 8 or 9 other treatment plants in northern New England right now, some in Maine, some in Vermont, some in New Hampshire. We'll take them on tours to different facilities, see different equipment. We may or may not pilot things here, depending on, as we go through the process, what makes sense to physically have a piece of equipment come here. Or we may go visit there's other pilots going on at other plants right now. That's more economical if we can go visit another pilot rather than host one here.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So, so we're gonna look at all those options and go through that process over the next 6 to 8 months. And then hone in on what the ultimate treatment process will be here.
Great.
Yeah, so these are the tasks that will be completed during the study phase. And just so the public knows, this is a contract price of $402,706. The budget line item that we had for this was around 400 to 450. The next phase after this will be the 30% design work, where we actually start designing the plant on a set of plans.
Okay,
That follows on.
okay.
And we'll wanna, our preference would be to come in quarterly to update the board. So we'll be starting the study. We had a kickoff meeting last week. Once we get going, so we'll wanna come in and
At the
Update
end of the year.
yeah, either the end of this year or in January, and then again, I think we want to periodically come in and keep you all updated on the progress.
Okay. Does anybody have any questions about the contract itself?
No.
No? Okay. So can I have a motion to authorize Mark to sign the contract for $402,706?
When is this paid? Is this paid all at once or is it paid over?
Incremental over the course of the next 9 to 12 months.
Okay.
so I will make a motion to approve the town manager sign the engineering report phase contract with the cost of $402,000, $706. I got that out somehow. I think I got it.
Yeah,
With Hoyle Tanner.
can I have a second?
I will second that.
All those in favor? Aye.
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 Okay, just like that.
Okay.
Do we have any other,
I'm still warming up.
do we have any other business with Joe? We can let Joe go.
No, I think
Okay.
that's everything.
You saw where it was. All right, thank you, everybody.
Okay.
See you around.
All right.
Not in the lagoon.
Did you want to finish the department head
Yeah,
reports? just
on the
for-
water, I think we've covered everything in the discussion. Wastewater, we got everything. Oh, one other thing in the wastewater. We should have stayed. We also had a teleconference with staff from Department of Environmental Services about our wastewater asset management project, which we had authorized back in 2020. We had come in, or we had submitted to DES to do a 1-year extension. That is usually a 1-year project. They gave us a second year. We have been waiting because included in that asset management plan is the treatment plant itself. So we had the teleconference to ask DES for another extension so that we could at least get the design of the new plant done before we finished the asset management plan. They denied that request.
That's
So-
understandable.
Well, yeah, and actually, I think it's going to work out to our favor. We have gotten a disbursement from the state of $6,000. What they recommend, the state staff recommended that the town reimburse that $6,000, right? And that we close out the grant and just end it, okay?
Reimburse that to the state, the 6,000?
Yeah, the state's already given us
I know, but we have to give it
6,000.
back.
We will give it back, but
We
here's
haven't
why.
spent any
But
of it.
wait.
I
but
know
here's-
that, but I don't like giving it back.
Well, no, we did it, we did work
Right.
over the year.
We spent,
And
what,
so
doesn't
we
that apply
spent
to
11
that hosing and the
No,
cameras and the
this,
hoses?
no, this is about, surveying our existing lines.
That's what I
and
thought.
everything.
Wasn't putting the cameras down the lines and find leaks and all that?
No,
part?
we didn't do that as part of the asset
Okay.
management. No, this was locating manholes, doing
Right, that
mapping.
was the same
and
kind
that
of thing.
sort
They
of
were
thing.
doing that
It
when
was
we,
the same kind of thing.
right, we
but-
found some leaks while we were
Right,
doing the
but we
mapping.
paid that out of our repair
Okay.
account. We didn't, that's $6,000. that the
We can't
state
take that
reimburses.
6,000 and use
No.
it to reimburse ourselves for that.
No,
Okay.
so but if we reimburse
Nice
this,
try.
but it
No,
was a
it
good
did.
try. No, it's a good question. But if we reimburse this $6,000, we will be eligible to go back
And get. a
and
full
get it
grant.
again as a full grant program. Okay, so now that the ARPA money is flowing, they're under the current program we're in, it's a 50-50 match.
Mhm.
That 50-50 match may go away and it may be 100% grant money later.
Mhm.
So doing a reapplication is actually a good thing. And I think we're going to recoup more than the $6,000 if we pay it back. So I would recommend doing that and then reapplying for, once we get the design work done at the end of next year,
Mhm.
then we will submit an application for another asset management grant and hopefully get a larger percentage than just the 50-50.
Yeah.
Because we can't finish the asset management project
Without including the.
without
plant.
including the plan.
All right, so yeah, makes sense, give it back.
Yeah.
Is that, if you're okay
Yep.
with that? All right, so that was the only other thing I had on the wastewater side. Oh, and Joe mentioned it, but we are, Penta Corporation is here doing the repairs that Dylan's been telling you about.
Which
the
ones?
last-
The turtle?
For the turtle.
No, that's what I'm
turtle
wondering.
access.
Was it the turtle? Was it the
The
broken
turtle
pipe? Was it the
access.
shifted disc? Was
Yeah,
it the?
no, it's the turtle access, and they are also, while they're here, they're gonna look at the aeration system, because remember Dylan told you about the air leaks that we have in those big pipes that go across the lagoons.
Mhm.
So they're looking at making repairs on those as well.
Okay.
So, right?
All right, gotta keep
and
that
then
puppy running for a
That's
few
it.
more years.
Couple more years. Paving is complete on Lost Pass Road. We have 2 or 3 manholes that are prepped and a couple of small spots around town. Sidewalk on Valley Road, section of a driveway apron on West Branch Road. That different drainage type things. We're just waiting for the weather to cooperate to get that.
To
And
get
it's
that
mostly
done.
handwork.
Right,
So we are still scheduled for at least one more day of a paving contractor to
Right.
be in here. Everything is prepped. We're just waiting for
Right.
them to show up.
right.
They did some
I-
today.
Did they do something?
Yeah, they
today?
did the sidewalk out.
Okay,
here
good.
Wednesday ago, and they were going somewhere else.
Well, then they may have already gotten West Branch done, so it may be done. So, yeah.
Also, that's Phil, you put in that rain request at the bottom of the base of the path coming
Yes,
down.
we did.
The rain just turns it to
Yeah.
mud.
Yeah.
I don't know if there's something else you can throw, maybe a gravel mix that might keep it less, but it
I'll
just
talk
turns
to
into
Jim.
solid mud.
Yeah,
Yeah,
That's it, yeah. That's kind of-
but other than that, I think we're doing
All right.
okay.
okay.
Just those couple of questions that came up at the community meeting yesterday.
Yes,
So-
we did confirm with the contractor, he wants to do the work, he's just waiting for
The
parts
parts,
on the
this is the fire
hydrant.
hydrants.
Yeah,
There's a question
fire
about the 2 fire hydrants that are
Yeah,
yeah,
OOC at the moment.
how do we know they don't work? Do we?
yeah, we
Test-
tested them
okay.
and they don't work. So we actually
They're
hydrant
leaking.
test.
Oh, no, I saw
Yeah.
them going around, but my question, how long have they not worked and why aren't they working? Do we know?
I don't know.
One was during testing, it actually broke off the connection
Okay.
that for the shut off. Actually broke, and that's what happened with the other one at the academy. That one actually was leaking and it filled with water and then froze. And then they noticed the outside case in the spring had a crack in it and water was coming out. That's how we discovered that one was broken. The problem with that one is that it was one of the original hydrants and it was welded onto, wasn't a fitting, so they have to actually
cut.
cut it
cut
off.
the pipe and reattach a fitting to reinstall that.
And what was the other?
Well, but is there any ETA on the repair? Still no idea when the
Still,
parts,
it's just whenever the parts get here, but
we're ready to go.
we are ready to go in within a couple of days after the parts.
The other was just a question about DOT work on 49.
Yeah.
I didn't notice them today.
We didn't, they weren't there today, so.
I didn't get a call back. The only thing I can assume it was guardrails.
Yeah.
Because I
Okay.
originally signed up saying they were gonna do that in the spring for the duration,
And
they usually notify us. but
You know, they had the stop signs on either side,
They did
but
yesterday.
the cars were going right through, but in both directions. So it was like, great, I got a green light and there's cars coming towards me on the other side.
Yeah.
They didn't have a flagman or anything apparently.
Well, they used the.
I'm left the valley.
There was
Oh, they had
some work
yeah, I
on
got it.
49.
Yeah, they were.
It was, right. So whatever it is, they've apparently,
They've finished.
Finished.
Because.
all right, so the
they're
question is.
I don't believe they're coming into the valley at all.
All right.
Okay.
So,
That was just, thank you. Citizens' question yesterday's
Okay.
meeting.
Anything from the rec, Mark?
We took care of her. She's just went through her
Okay.
Thanksgiving programs.
All righty. Okay, should we jump to the draft parking
We didn't
ordinance?
do the minutes yet.
Okay,
Yeah, we
we'll go
can-
back to those. We
Okay,
we
yeah.
need to let these guys get either back
Very
to
good.
work or home. One of those.
we're here for the rest of the night. So don't worry about it. Thank you, though.
Okay, I have a few things on.
No, you go ahead, Mike. Let's start with yours.
Well, that, the first one that I kind of noticed was K, public place. I think we need a definition of what is a public place versus what is a private place.
Okay.
Then when we get down to,
Well, we can only enforce our public spaces. So that's where, so we're not, the public space that we
Okay.
can enforce is gonna be the roads, but we can't enforce parking in the resort parking lot.
okay, then I think we
Public
should put a
place.
note on that so people understand that by New Hampshire statute, we are only allowed to enforce these ordinances on public
Well,
roads.
it's, it says shall mean any real property owned or leased by the town of Waterville Valley.
I get it, but it doesn't. I see what you're saying, and
Yeah.
it didn't ring true to me, and
Okay. Yep.
I'm just not that bright sometimes, so maybe,
Well, can we do it as a preamble?
yes,
cover
exactly,
sheet?
yeah,
Yeah. Well, we won't put it in the
Right.
ordinance.
okay.
Yeah, I
Then-
got your name, Mike.
Another question I had on M street is we refer to street here, and we refer to roadway later on in this. So if you take it as a basic example, of, well, I was on a street, I was on Boulder Path Way, so that's not a street, it's a way.
And that's, we can do that on the cover sheet too. The right of way covers that and the
Okay.
way itself.
Oh, okay.
So,
Excuse me.
Yeah, so it says street, road, right of way, alley or way.
Yeah, no,
So that's what you're going.
yeah, so this is
Yeah.
kind of.
I was confused.
legality wise.
yeah, because it says roadway later on in
Yeah.
the language, so that's, does roadway cover everything? And maybe roadway should be the word and street should be moved into.
Yeah, it's
But
just a terminology thing.
It's just,
Yeah. Yeah, we can. look
because
at
what I did was I read it a first time through and how things ran where it was defined better later.
Yep.
Then I came up with later on, no person to stop or park any vehicle at any area designated as an official vehicle parking space. What about creating loading zones?
that is
It's right
under
here.
controlled parking spaces. No person shall stop or park any vehicle at any
Right,
area
but
designated as a loading zone.
but
except
See the
temporary.
loading zone, it's right here, Mike.
no, I know it's there, but do we have loading zones designated? Do we have loading zone signs?
Jugtown is really.
Yeah, Jugtown is really the only.
But
one.
I was thinking that, when we talk about the golf course overflow,
Yep.
when we talk about creating a thing there, where maybe there can be a loading drop-off zone where it's high lit, where people understand, hey, you can drop your person off here. There are no spaces.
Well, this is what's great. This gives you authority to do that,
Okay,
which we didn't have before.
Yeah.
Right.
we
guys-
don't-
As I read the
under our
language,
permit-
that's sort of
So
our
this gives you
follow-on
authority to
discussion.
make
Yeah.
any
Right.
public space you want. So if you want to make it a loading zone
but,
and it says loading zone, then they can park there.
and I think that could work other places with people that would going to drop off at other facilities.
Look at the ski area, for example. If they're in that loading zone.
Right.
We're really only enforcing because it's their property is handicap, fire lanes, stuff that is covered under the ordinance, but
Right.
if they're in their loading zone,
Right,
we just keep them.
but okay, so the idea of maybe creating some more loading zones to create, maybe create a new way of educating people is, oh, you can drop me off here, but if you can't find a parking space.
Yeah.
But you have to move your car to over there.
Well, we're not gonna bother anybody at that point anyways. I mean, if you, as long as you're not, if you stop on the side of the road because you get a call on your cell phone.
Yeah.
I'm gonna
No,
say,
but what I'm saying
Oh.
is if we have these loading zones,
Yeah.
people won't park full time in these places
Yeah,
when
what
they see
he's
it.
saying is just drop, like literally like the.
No, yeah, yeah.
Like if they see a sign that says, it's-
But
instead
they're gonna
of-
still park there.
I beg your pardon?
They're gonna park there.
Well, hopefully, I'm thinking they
Yeah.
won't if they see a sign where it makes sense to access a facility or a building or something,
Or you
where it
say
says loading zone, drop-off zone only.
5 minute parking limit or something like
So
that.
I think some of the businesses have taken into account that, town square, ski area, the golf course and the circle.
Mhm.
There,
Mhm.
I think we want to be careful of us determining, the town determining loading and unloading zones for these
Oh,
particular
no,
properties.
this only
This
applies.
is
to
on
the
our
town
roads, not
owned
on
property,
interior.
the right of
But
way.
what you're saying is that they already exist.
They already.
Yeah, they exist. Yeah,
Right.
I'm kind of being specific about an area where if we put up the loading zones where it's an oversubscribed evening,
Mhm.
people will know, oh, I'll drop you off here and I'll park. It's kind of like in the winter, if I go to the Coyote with another couple, which is hard to find a couple that will go anywhere with me. But, we will drop people at the front door and as a gentleman, I'll park in the slush in the back. Same thing with Town Square. You
Right.
drop someone off.
Mhm. Well, same thing at the golf course. You can drop somebody off at the door and go park elsewhere.
You can, but it's not really noticed. But
It's
you
not
can do it on the road
business
there.
To do
Well,
that.
Huh?
But he's not saying that we'll put signs up town wise.
No.
But we could use that area across the street as a drop off zone for
Use it.
that same use. Rather than have somebody park there.
Right.
Yeah, beyond where the parking space is, you might create another 4 or 5 feet where people know they can't park there because they can only drop off there. That's what I'm kind of hitting at.
I think with something we can certainly discuss, as to
Yeah.
what's,
And it's something that we can decide to do once the
Well,
ordinance is
Right,
passed.
because your current ordinance
doesn't
doesn't
give us
you
right,
that
and
authority.
whether we wanted to have a little parking up by the bottom of Cascade. And
Right.
But the one question I had was on that power that we would like to exercise.
Yep.
It says that the Board of Selectmen may, after holding a public hearing and by resolution, establish or modify. So is May the operative, i.e., do we have to have a public hearing?
Yes, you have to have a public hearing if you're going to consider it.
Right.
Then after holding that public hearing, then you
Mm-hmm.
can adopt it.
And that is because, why do we want a public hearing?
Like
Kind of-
any, go ahead.
No, you can go.
Mhm.
It's just kind of how towns have set it up.
Okay, no, I'm just.
It's kind of like
I'm not-
anything, if you're gonna adopt something, it's kind of,
Right,
especially if you're gonna adopt a parking area in a certain spot, you want other people's take.
right,
So, and it's just that, and it doesn't say you, even if everybody says, I don't wanna do it, it doesn't say you don't have the power to still
Correct.
do it.
And if
Right,
you.
there's no state
Statute.
regulation that requires statute, thank you, that
Well,
requires
I
us to hold a
think if
public
you're
hearing
going to, if
for
you're going
making a
to,
parking.
well, if
change.
this is adopted,
Yeah.
because this is going to town meeting, and
Right.
there's gonna be a vote
Right,
during the deliberative session.
right,
Once town meeting has adopted it, if you're gonna
Right.
modify it in any way, you should hold a
Yes.
public hearing,
Yes.
okay, before you make a decision to modify.
to modify any on-street
Any-
parking
Well, right, but any of your ordinances that are adopted by town.
in
meeting,
general, okay,
In general, if
I
you're
see what
gonna
you're saying.
modify what is in there because you've been given power to modify it,
Mhm.
you should hold a public hearing.
Hmm.
Only because you're gonna have such a public discussion about it at town meeting. I just think it's good practice
okay.
for you to do
Okay.
that.
Can we continue with your comments or?
I think I'm
are we
through with
finished?
my comments. The other stuff, made a lot of sense to me. I didn't have any other issues.
Now it's, and it looks like it reduces 3 down to 1.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and then it also adds the zoning. So before we could not enforce the zoning unless it was civil. So on the law enforcement side, we couldn't issue a summons for somebody parking a camper in the parking lot. We would have to go back and
Right.
report to Dave and say, hey, Dave, this is what they're doing. He would have to go forward with it civilly. This now allows us to write a hand summons or issue a parking summons, just like we would if they parked in handicap or anywhere else.
Yeah.
So it encompasses the zoning as well with the 3 parking ordinances. So it's very clear now what you can and can't do.
So I have a question under I, first of all.
Yeah.
When it says defines a parking space, it says a street or public place where a vehicle may legally park, included but not limited to controlled parking spaces and permitted parking areas. What are the permit? I don't see any other reference in the whole document to permitted parking
Next,
areas.
So I'm looking at one that's kind of controlled parking spaces is in D.
Right here, next page.
So right above it.
But
would be
I've
where-
seen that, but what about permit parking areas? That's not
Um,
defined anywhere, what that is.
How did I put it in there?
I don't think so. Well, I mean,
There
I
may
might have
been a
missed it, but
holdover, from one of the languages from one of the.
Yeah, it could have been just something I missed taking out.
Could
okay,
be a handicap permit, could be considered that.
Well, that's handled on its own.
Yeah, no, I know, it's all-
Right.
I'm just,
right.
So the times that we've used it is we've allowed, in the past, we used to allow, the mountain,
Silver Streaks.
no, not the Silver.
but that's
Street,
on
the
private
adaptive.
property, that,
We
Yeah.
used
Oh,
to
the
allow the
adaptive.
adaptive to
Right.
park behind the base lodge, where technically that was a fire lane,
Fire lane.
but we allowed them,
Gave them a
we gave
permit.
them permission and they were handing out little orange permission slips on their
Hmm,
windshield.
mhm.
We told them where they could park, so they wouldn't interfere with our fire lane, and they were doing it that way. There was one case where we were using permitted parking.
And I think that's what it is, this wasn't, I think it meant to say permitted parking, not permit. Because we actually don't have permits here, so.
Yeah, I didn't
I
think
think it's
so,
supposed to
but,
be permitted parking, so I think it's just a.
okay.
So that would be a one-time parking situation where you issued a special permit.
Yeah, there was a reduction, like, they were having a special event,
Yes.
and there was gonna be a lot more of them that could accommodate the amount of handicap spaces, so that we allowed them to park.
So you think just the definition of permitted.
Well,
parking
I was just confused by the term because I didn't see it anywhere else in
So this is
the,
a special event parking, basically.
or whatever.
So I just changed it on
Temporary
here,
special
just so
event.
control spaces and permitted parking areas.
But I think you need a
Yeah, definition
definition.
of what's
Just-
permitted.
Yeah.
We'll
Temporary
create,
Okay.
I think it's a good
Special
point.
event
It would
parking.
cause.
Yeah.
yeah,
The
what
other,
is that?
the other thing, if the selectmen should decide, as an example, that the golf course temporary situation that is there right now,
Till the end of March. yeah.
if they should decide that they want to make that permanent, what would be the process under this ordinance?
That would be going to the town.
The public
That's
So
what
hearing,
you would have to make it a,
But could they hold a public hearing?
That would be a public hearing,
that would be
right?
the public hearing.
That's what I was
my
asking.
Yes.
Okay, and I think that given there may be situations like that that come up,
Mhm.
maybe not necessarily that one, but some in some other area, that we ought to have something that says, if that occurs and it is approved, here's what the sign is going to say. So that we're consistent in what the sign says in those areas where a special exception, if you will,
Well,
have been
I think-
made. I mean, the ones we have right now are fine.
Yeah.
The ones that say municipal,
Well, I think
parking
that's-
area.
So right here on, if you go back to the very beginning, restricted parking,
okay,
under 1A, it's number 6. It says no parking in specified areas and then except on any, so it's on any streets unless in a designated parking area. So as long as you designate that as a municipal parking,
Mhm.
then I think you're completely. okay.
Yeah,
But
my,
you
my
want a
only
format of
caution,
the sign.
my only caution was that if we have any of those areas, I would like them to be designated exactly the same.
Yeah, I agree.
So
Yeah,
maybe like
absolutely.
like an appendix, like appendix A would be an example of what a
Right.
sign looks like.
Because
Yeah,
it
I
wouldn't
think
be
that's
a,
more internal policy versus rather keep it. in
You'd
the
rather not have
ordinance.
it in
I'd rather
this.
not have it in the ordinance.
Yeah, I think Dave's right.
I think just our own policy,
Yeah.
we could have one made up and say,
Right.
this is,
Okay.
this
This is what
is
it
what our
looks
sign looks like,
Okay.
if we're going to allow it, then.
And
this
that's
is
fine.
what-
this is not special exception. This is
Right.
our
Right.
Yeah,
deciding, or the
designated.
select board deciding to
Correct.
designate this parcel of road as for municipal parking until the select board changes its mind.
Right, right.
But the sign should be consistent for all those spaces in town
Where that happens,
where that
yes.
happens.
Yeah, yeah. And there is something in here, though, that allows the police to make decisions if it's a situation that's 30 days or less, correct?
Yes.
So I hate to use our favorite friend once again. He's one of my favorite people too, just because of everything he's done for our town. But when Craig has an event at the clubhouse, he will be able to call you up and say, I'm having an event. I think there's going to be a lot of cars. Is it okay for them to park across the street? And you will be able to make the decision as to whether that's okay for that event, correct?
It would just allow us that opportunity
Okay,
to be able to, if it was something that was contentious, I think we would certainly refer to you before we would allow such a
Mhm.
thing.
mhm. But you know, to his point, there's very few occasions on which he feels that that is really needed. And
I think what that was put in there for is we get phone calls because they're having a house party. And they were going to have so many cars were gonna be parking at a particular residence.
Right.
mhm,
As opposed to like every Friday, Saturday night.
Yeah, it was
For the whole
most of these
For the whole
temporary
summer.
things, and it allows us to say, yes, we approve it, but please park on the right side of the road, please,
mhm.
to allow emergency vehicles.
But that's an important distinction between someone who's having a house party, a birthday party one night, and a business who every Friday or Saturday needs the parking.
Yeah, I think.
But
it
not
is.
at this time of year. Okay, and not for, there are a number of months out of the year when it really isn't
Right.
needed, so.
But I see that as undercutting
Mhm.
the power of the select board to decide where, because you can then end up with one of these temporary, permanent situations that we've run into in the
Well, I'd
past.
say a non-recurring
Yeah,
parking situation of less than 30 days. That way you couldn't say
Yeah.
to Craig, you can do it every weekend.
yeah. Well, it's a special event. I
For
mean,
the
it's again,
Sunday,
it's a
for-
special event.
You can
You
make
know,
it
for a
to
2-day period.
1 day or 2 days, or however you're most comfortable with.
But I mean, I
It's
think
just-
if there may be a construction situation or something that is maybe needs a week or two of Special Olympics, they might need a week.
Yeah, but those are
Right.
special events.
But
I mean,
those are
that's-
special events,
right.
but it's not on a recurring basis like the
Right.
weekend situation.
Right,
So I see that non-recurring as fixing that concern
Yeah, this is the.
of undercutting
right.
the.
Yeah.
We're gonna have cars on my road, we're gonna have a large gathering from 10 AM to 1 o'clock, is that
Right.
okay?
Yeah,
Right.
Sure,
Yeah.
Yes,
that's
exactly.
what that's for, is
That's what it
is
is.
that, because otherwise, we had no authority before to say anything.
Yeah, there was
Right.
nothing. in
Okay, so it's just a matter of just
Okay.
tightening the language a little to
Yeah.
account for, say,
Yeah.
a non-reoccurring or a special event. To give you guys. the-
We can tweak that language, and I don't think the purpose of that was.
No, of
to
course, right.
Subvert
no,
for those types of events, none of those commercial type events, other than special events, temporary situations, that kind of thing, so.
did you have some? that you
No, I
wanted
think
to
I've
bring up?
said my piece. Thank you. We just need to
Okay.
get together at some point.
So now,
Decide
so
where we
we can
want it.
get this as a public hearing to the language that we want to send to town meeting. Do you want to do it just as part of the budget process, or do you want to hold a special public hearing just on, like, have this as part of a selectmen's meeting just to talk about this.
I mean, don't we have a public hearing on the budget in January,
In February,
in
first
February?
week of February.
Yeah,
Mhm.
I mean,
I
I
think-
don't know, do you think it's controversial enough that it's gonna?
I think because we haven't had one, I think we probably should have. No one will show up, like our hearing on refinancing the note.
But this doesn't change, so this covers
It-
all the
exactly.
ordinances we already have.
But I
in
think
place.
people should understand, because there's little things here, people, like no inoperative or unregistered motive.
I was gonna say, there are
things like
other
that.
ordinance folded into
Yeah.
this now.
Yes.
Well, that's the,
Just
yeah, that's
about to
adding the
mention
zoning
that.
piece into it.
Right, so I think we should have a public hearing on this before a meeting.
Separate.
Separate.
Yeah, let's do it
I'm fine.
separately.
I'm fine.
Because
with
if
that.
we get the right crowd at this could turn the budget meeting into a 4-hour event.
Okay, so if we do that, I would suggest that there be something that says a little bit what our motivation behind
Yeah.
doing this was, in terms of, what are the things that we're trying to clarify by going to one ordinance, and, the fact
Yeah.
that there used to be 3 ordinances and now we
Yeah.
folded into this ordinance the information related to zoning and
So a clarification.
yeah,
now.
clarification
Yeah,
of what
cover
what the
them
real changes are
Right.
in the parking ordinance.
The
Yeah.
key one being that this gives the select board the authority to
But it
approve
also acquaints
on-street
people with
parking.
what the parking rules are.
Situation.
A lot of people here have no idea.
It's definitely not trying to put anything in.
Right.
No,
We're not really changing anything. We're just letting people,
Correct.
There-
Consolidating it.
Yeah.
There's also, I think, there will be questions raised about, okay, where are you going to allow parking?
yeah, oh no, I get it. Let's
So
get
that
that discussion out there.
We
Yeah.
are,
So what, how about the first meeting in January?
okay,
whatever fits the,
yeah,
if you want to have the language
Well, because
wanna have
don't
that
you
buttoned
want
up,
to
right?
talk, don't you want
Right.
to talk about?
before we button up the
before
language for the
you-
warrant.
That's right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But you also would, before that, want to talk about how you're going to answer questions like, where are you going to allow, or do you want to
Yeah.
just say, we'll deal with that
Yeah, I'm
later?
of 2 minds there, actually. I think we can worry about that.
Yeah.
If this is passed.
we could use the public hearing to gather input. from
Exactly,
people
that's what
As
I'm
to
saying.
what they think.
I would move the public
We
hearing
need
to
to do.
December instead of January.
December, okay, so first meeting in December?
Sure.
Yeah.
Sure enough. Come on.
That will also gauge how much interest there is in this whole thing.
That's right.
Well, the interested parties show up at town meeting.
Yeah, but I think we have so many new people here that we need to afford them the opportunity to contribute,
Mhm.
as opposed to turning into, just disruptive, not disruptive, but
Yeah.
a divisive town meeting, because people, if they're not invited 5 or 6 times and hit over there, they think they weren't invited.
Right.
That's been the history of,
Right.
this is before anybody new even showed up here. It's been the history of the town that, oh, what do you mean? No, we posted it, we did this, we did everything. What do you mean? I didn't know.
Right,
Yeah,
It's going to be important to advertise it a certain way
Right.
to
right.
make people understand that.
This
what
is
we're
not
trying to
any
do here-
changes, we're just clarifying.
Well, there is a big
There are some
change.
change.
There are,
Well,
we're asking for the power to
right, but
establish
I think
on-street
people,
parking.
people
Assume
assume,
we have that.
assumed it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So in their mind, it's not a change, but.
Yeah.
And I'm wondering a good way to get it out there.
I don't think just posting it on the internet.
On the website, that
is
doesn't
enough.
seem
It's
to
gonna
be,
do it.
what else?
Wigwag,
No
I was
other
gonna
building
say,
going out, is it mailing?
you got the
Social
wigwag,
Is there
the
a,
wigwag deadline.
We
hasn't
haven't
come up.
wigwag hasn't come up, is there
When's our next meeting?
when's our next bill going out?
I don't think so.
Not
No, we just did the
before,
bills.
not
No.
before the first
Yeah.
meeting in
Yeah.
December.
When's the first meeting? The 7th, the wigwag comes out
I
on the
have it the
1st.
8th.
Wigwag comes out on the 1st, if you can write something for the wigwag.
Okay,
Or the 18th.
Yeah,
It's on by the 18th.
So you got a week.
it's like college, you got a week to write this.
I'll do it the night before, 2 AM.
My dog ate my assignment. All right,
Okay,
Wow.
all right, shall we go back and Did you do financial reports?
Yep.
All right. Should we go back and look at minutes review and approval? Everybody had a chance to look at all those minutes?
Yep.
Yeah,
I-
can we just
yeah.
make one, I just want to do one thing, next Wednesday at 11 o'clock. We are going to have a ceremony to promote Jeff Dropkin within the fire department. We have been talking to him for a couple of weeks. With the new personnel structure within the department,
Mhm.
we've been moving responsibilities, duties and responsibilities around
Mhm.
and reassigning them.
Mhm.
Jeff is going to become the department trainer and assist with life safety, code enforcement and that sort of thing. We created a new job description
Mhm.
of assistant fire chief. We went through and graded it on the pay plan
Right.
schedule. It's not a change in his pay grade or minimum and maximum pay amounts. But it is some realigned duties and responsibilities.
And he's a fire
He's
captain?
currently now a fire captain and
Captain.
paramedic.
Mhm. Paramedic,
So
yeah.
this is a title change and duties and
Okay.
responsibility change.
Mhm.
But we'd like to invite you to be here at 11 o'clock. We have a
It's on the
depart-
17th.
On the 17th, if you're available. We're having a department head meeting and we're gonna have Terry come in and administer the oath. So,
We're very proud and to recognize him for all of his years of service for us. And we're looking to host several schools here in EMT and AEMT and firefighter one school here within the next year and a half, 2 years. And he's going to be a very important part of that going forward. So.
and we've got a lot of staff that needs to be trained and the area has staff that needs to be trained. So it's a good opportunity for
Yeah,
us.
and they won't have to go quite so far for
Exactly.
training.
Where did you?
Yeah.
Amen to that.
Yeah.
Tuftonboro and Concord and Dublin.
Mhm. Yeah. Okay, good deal. What's this vendor permit? Does this have anything to do with?
No, that's,
Bob brought that
Oh.
up and we
Bob.
can take you on that, application on that.
Shall we do minutes before I forget them again?
Yeah.
We have 3 sets of minutes. Everybody had a chance to review them.
I did not. I haven't gotten the middle one yet. I got the
The
first
long
one.
one.
And yeah, and I got the
you know,
second one.
had to clean out one of those.
I had one comment, sorry, I'm looking for on the special meeting, public hearing. I think.
The
but I think
29th.
The
She
29th,
wasn't, Margaret. wasn't
right, but
there.
you had that general comment about it wasn't
Yeah,
clear what
It
we were.
wasn't, I looked all
Yeah,
through and I
I'll
couldn't tell what it
change
was for.
the wording.
Even
on
if you
that.
just put it up in the
Yeah.
title.
Yeah.
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 And the only comment I had on that one is completely pedantic. And I'm just looking for it, because that's what I do.
Mhm. Be pedantic.
I am. Line 30,
I think we got a cream. for
the
that.
S, and yeah, but I prefer to rough it.
Are you, which one are you talking about? The first minutes?
No, the
Special,
the
special.
special meeting.
Line
the short
30, C, the S and C should be capitalized.
Yes, sir.
Thank you.
Yes.
Yeah.
And I gave you my comments for the first one. I forget which one that was, the
October
seventh.
13th.
October,
13.
and I'm sorry, I just haven't gotten to the
She
27th
made
yet.
those changes.
Right, I
So
saw them. They're
the-
fine.
Right.
They're
Okay,
fine.
Yeah.
well, why don't, yes, do you have something
I
else?
was not here for the 13th,
Oh,
but I
okay.
do have something for the 27th, but we'll get to that in a minute.
But I think we're probably going to put that one on hold because Rich
I
hasn't
just
had a
haven't had a
chance
chance to look at it. I didn't
to-
see them till
to
yesterday.
go
I'm sorry.
through
Let
it,
me-
so.
Register my thing because I'll forget it by the next meeting.
Oh,
Yes.
okay.
What do you got?
Oh, finish with your, are you finished with? the
I'm done.
13th?
Yep.
The only thing I wanted in paragraph 5 with Patrick's report, it doesn't talk about what time frame this was done. his review and
Oh, okay.
what time is, I think we were kind of surprised when we found out that report was on Noon Peak Road when they were coming down early in the morning. That's the only
Yeah.
time it was surveyed. It wasn't
Okay,
a full scope of time.
okay,
And I think it changes, I mean, the paragraph considerably.
Yeah,
If you look at
okay.
one.
Yeah.
I'll check that.
Yeah, and my only, we already did the 13th. On the 27th, my only comment I sent you this morning, Mark, it was the speed sign that we're gonna
Yes.
put down lower, not
Correct.
speed
Yeah.
something, yeah.
Okay.
So I think what we'll do is I'm gonna move that we approve the minutes of October 13th and October 29th as amended.
I'll second that.
All those in favor? Aye.
Aye.
And on October 27th, we're going to table them to the next meeting.
Okay.
Okay. Our next regular meeting right now.
Well, that's what do you want to do it the day before Thanksgiving? It's up to you. That's your next scheduled date.
I'm here. It doesn't matter to me.
I mean, we can move it like to Tuesday. if
No,
you
any-
want, or-
whatever.
Yeah, I think it's Tuesday, but gets the people in the office out of here. We don't want them to have to sit
Yeah.
around.
We
Right.
usually
Yeah.
close at noon.
So should
You
we
wouldn't if we
do,
had this meeting, would you?
Huh?
shall we
Yeah,
do
I'm not gonna
November,
be here.
November 23rd at 3?
November 23rd at 3.
Yeah.
Done.
And the next planning board is November 11th.
Tomorrow.
Yeah, tomorrow.
Tomorrow. Anything good on the agenda?
That's pretty quiet.
Pretty quiet.
Did I miss something?
Except for.
Well, we have the one thing
the
you wanted.
one thing for the Conservation
Okay.
Commission.
But that should be.
The only other meeting that has been scheduled now is the ZBA hearing on the variance will be held on November 22nd
Okay,
at 3 p.m.
okay.
That is,
So
a-
those folks went before the planning
Monday.
board and the planning board said you have to go get a variance for
no,
this?
they submitted a building permit back in June
Mhm,
and they were denied
mhm.
the building permit.
Okay,
They did not appeal the building permit. They came back in and talked about the same proposal again. And we said, no, that's already been denied.
mhm.
So they decided to file for a variance.
Okay,
So it's not an appeal from any decision.
okay,
It's an actual variance.
okay.
Yeah.
And if the zoning board of adjustment grants that variance, then what happens?
Then they can reapply for the building permit. And the rules will be different, so that the building permit could be looked at.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Okay, I understand. All right.
That's at 3 p.m. on the
3
22nd.
p.m. on the 22nd.
That's our meeting this week, right?
No,
No, that's
We're
the
the
ZBA.
23rd.
ZBA.
We were on the
You're the
23rd.
Is the ZBA open to the public?
Yes.
And
Yes.
where is that gonna be here?
Right here.
Okay. Tell me about the Conservation Commission request for zoning map change.
So the-
Is that this new parcel
Yeah.
that
the-
they
the
acquired?
Parcel that they acquired along Snows Brook on the east side of Valley Road.
Mhm.
They are going to request of the.
This little thing right here.
No,
No?
down further.
It's along, no, the other way.
No, other way, this, keep on
Right where
going.
the bridge is.
Oh,
Right there.
This parcel.
oh.
That
okay.
very wet
Gotcha.
parcel. there.
Yes, that
Yeah.
very wet parcel.
So their discussion last night was that the green belt extends up to the dam right now.
Mhm.
So they want to extend it to the other side of Corcoran's Pond.
Mhm.
And
Do we have the power to do that?
town meeting.
A zoning change.
It's a zoning. change.
Right. We don't. have-
Yes, you have the,
No,
I mean,
we-
the town has the power to do it.
Yes, but we don't have the power. to
No,
do
you
No.
that.
don't.
No, that's what I was wondering.
But will we put the warrant? Is that what they're asking for us to
They're gonna ask the planning board
do
to
the warrant?
do the warrant.
But, okay, but I will, depending on what you guys say, I could say at the planning board, that the select board
Yeah, I don't have a
supports,
problem with it at all.
supports this
Right.
zoning change
Yeah.
to green.
Yeah.
Green belt.
It'll go, it's actually a zoning district change.
Yeah.
It'll be a question on the ballot portion of town meeting.
Okay. And what is the chapel committee update?
They have a meeting at 5 o'clock.
Oh, okay.
And they've given me a draft purchase and sale for you to look at, but I sent it back with a couple of questions.
Okay,
And hopefully at 5 o'clock, we'll get to talk about those.
okay, but they've been
Questions?
busily working on some of
They
the items,
have
correct?
been working on some of the
Yes,
items. in
but
addition.
one of the items that we still don't know is if they have any money. And I'll put it on I'm very reluctant to sign a DNS without any proof of funds.
Okay,
That was one of the conditions, wasn't it?
Yeah,
As I recall.
or at least a plan, yeah, something.
something,
Not the actual funds in hand, but
But-
right,
Well,
pledges or
yeah,
something.
something,
something.
yeah. More than, what is it, $18,000 that
Yes,
they
that's
have?
what they have.
Okay, board concerns and directives, we already went over your two, Rich. Anything from
None.
you guys? No?
Just wondering, do you know, Mark, why I've noticed that a lot of the boulders have been moved? Did you see that on, is it Greeley?
On Greeley Path.
Greeley Path, did you notice that too?
I'm
Wasn't maybe
thinking that,
Big giants or something? come by?
I'm thinking maybe somebody moved them a little
Widen?
further away from the road so the groomer wouldn't hit them.
Is that what it is?
That's
Okay.
what
That
I'm
makes-
thinking. That's my
but
only guess.
Pretty
when
much
I
all of
saw
them
it.
have been
Yeah, moved away from,
moved,
yeah,
moved away.
Yeah, that would be
The Forest Service. and
Forest
the-
Service. It
yeah.
would be under the
Just wondering.
special use permit. I bet
Mhm.
that's,
What they
but
were
Ian
doing.
probably asked to move them so the groomer could get through.
Okay,
yeah.
But I
just
was
wondering.
not aware.
Yeah,
Of
pretty much all of them
nobody
have
else.
been.
Not the ones closest to the intersection though.
No, that's
No.
right. That's
Right.
right.
Those are all still in place, the long row of,
No, they moved
Stones.
those.
did they move those
They
as
moved them
well?
all the way from, basically from the connector, all the way up to, talking about Depot Camp, to where Depot Camp really is. At the end of the Greeley,
At the end of the Greeley Path?
Where it hits
They moved that
Livermore.
whole line?
both sides.
Huh? Interesting. Okay.
Right.
All righty, correspondence, the subdivider improvement agreement.
Yeah, just wanted to make you aware of the, we had talked before that Mr. Laguerre was gonna sell the land to the Daily Corporation and they were gonna do the development. That is not happening now. The subdivider improvement agreement will be with Mr. Laguerre. And he will be doing the development probably through most of the building phase. And then the sale, they'll probably do some sort of transfer after that. But
Okay,
he is gonna actually be the one that we have the subdivider improvement agreement with,
okay.
so.
And there was a blank in that subdivider. improvement
Yes,
in
and
terms of
he
the amount
owes
of,
us the amount, yeah, that's, we still need to fill that in, he's getting that information. We haven't signed that agreement.
so
yet.
he decides what that amount. is
Yeah,
going
he
to be?
gives us a contract
Uh-huh,
with a contractor to do the site work
mhm,
that has a price on it.
okay,
And it shows us what the water, sewer, roads and all of that will cost to put in.
mhm,
And they give us a surety, whether it's a line of credit or a bond in favor of the town. And as they as they pay the bills, they draw down the surety.
okay,
And that gives us the ability to go in
And
and
finish it.
finish the work.
Right, in case
If
they
they go,
they disappear
Oh,
or
yeah,
something,
they
you know, have
disappear.
a half constructed.
okay, I got you.
and then there is a thing in there for a continuation for 1 year. We usually have 2 to 3%
Mhm,
of the contract price that we retain in a bond for a year, in case it doesn't work, drainage or something like that doesn't work.
Right, okay. And our other correspondence is all these bills that are before the house.
Oh, yeah, I just gave, that's just information, the coalition community, the bills I'm thinking we're paying.
Yeah,
That's
What
it.
did I stick in?
You
Well,
know,
we may be
it-
paying these bills.
Yeah, we
Well,
may-
it tells me-
Different
So
type of
there's a
bills.
lot
It tells
of-
me about all the
Right.
things I don't know about, like,
Yeah, so-
what are these education freedom accounts? And,
Yeah,
you know, there are any
there's-
number of things related
Those are
to
the
that.
bills that are being tracked by the Coalition Communities company.
And then stuff
is
about
monitoring.
requiring vaccination for school attendance, and what do you do if
Just
schools
Anything,
want to have masks in the absence of an emergency order? That would be
anything,
us.
anything that has to do with education or could influence the funding of education is being tracked by our
Okay,
Coalition,
by the coalition.
the
Yeah.
the consultant for the coalition.
All right, anything else? Do we need anything for non-public today?
I don't think so. I think well, yeah, if I could have 1 minute.
Okay.
in non-public.
1 minute of non-public.
I'll make the motion to go into non-public.
I'll
Second.
second.
I'll go for it.
Aye. Thank
See
you,
you,
Bob.
Bob.
Thanks, Bob. The,
Transmission.
yeah, just hold on.
You do your jigsaw exchange, your puzzle exchange?
Not yet. I'm coming over to your house after this.
You think so?
So here's what happened, you know. UPS will send you this little thing saying, your package is on the way.
Yeah,
Okay, and I was supposed to meet up with Robin at 1:30. Okay, but they're very nice. They send you this little thing where you can tap on it and it shows you where the truck is. Okay, so the truck was up at the ski area.
Yeah.
I said, oh, that's great. He's gonna come right down and come to my house next. No, he went to every
No.
other place
Oh.
in the valley.
I could have grabbed it for you. Jeremy, you know,
Yeah,
we were the
well, you
depot,
said that to me too.
we were the depot before. We
Yeah.
were in the old building. Now, we tell people not to send it through us because we don't want them to lug it up there.
Yeah.
oh, yeah.
And I think we're still on.
You said that.
We tell people not to send it through us.
I'm just gonna press the X.
Just
Yeah, there you go.
get the cord out of the wall.
All right,
Sorry again.
so
Yeah.
I just wanted to
Wait a
really quick,
minute, it says still live on YouTube, up top in the top corner.
oh yeah, no, we need, yeah, let's end bottom right,